Hello, everybody. It's Sarah Oplex Spiker here, and I want to share with you a recent experience because I do believe it is the key to creating a life that fuels your heart and your soul, no matter the circumstances. So, the other day, I heard from somebody that I admire. I have utmost respect for who they became and for what they created in their life and what they created through their companies. And this person shared a heart wrenching story of how they wanted to publish something that they truly believe could uplift the audience and could really empower the audience to look within and really find that self trust and reliance. But they were really afraid of the backlash and the mean comments and the whole nastiness that can happen online when you put yourself out there, when you provoke thoughts that are unconventional, when you create something that goes against the grain, when you step on unhealed wounds. And what really surprised me, and it was so amazing how the conversation unfolded, and that person ended up publishing that piece that they were so afraid of, was just noticing how nobody, no matter the level of accomplishment, no matter the level of success, nobody is immune to the fear of being judged or misunderstood or misinterpreted or being blamed and shamed, right? However, most of us kind of learn to live with that, and we learn to tune it out, and we choose not to focus on any of it. So it reminded me of a saying that goes something along the lines of, you cannot have a butterfly conversation with caterpillar people. And as somebody who takes great pride and joy, just like the person I was referring to, we take a great pride and joy in helping people become their own butterflies, right? Completely transform their lives, completely transform their businesses, completely transform themselves to really flourish and become those butterflies. We still can hold back because of what people who have no interest in or they have no capacity on becoming butterflies might have, right? And that reminded me of another conversation with another person who also, on the outside, they were thriving. They had an amazing team, they had clients and a healthy cash flow and living a lifestyle that a lot of people would say, oh my gosh, ultra successful. Plus, they were busy, right? Even in today's time, in today's climate, when a lot of businesses are shutting down and a lot of people are struggling, this person was seemingly thriving. It was really clear real quick when the guard came down that all of that was just a mask hiding their insecurity and their fear of being judged. And the busy work was actually just a natural response to keep them preoccupied and keep their focus away from what really needed to be addressed, which again, in their situation, was the fear of being judged because the work that they got to do came so naturally to them, and it was so easy that it almost fueled their guilt of actually being paid the amount of money they were being paid to perform the work. So what ended up happening was they created all the stories, including the busy work. They kept discounting their services to kind of try to justify it, right? And all the busy work that they created ultimately prevented them from living the life that they wanted to create in the first place. And relationships that, they had this idea in their mind that once they reach a certain level of success, they will be able to enjoy certain relationships, they will be able to enjoy a certain lifestyle. All of that went through the window when we started breaking things down, and it was black and white that the busy work, all of the thing was just a facade. So it got me wondering, I know personally that I have been in a position more than once when on the outside everything seemed to be so amazing, but it was only a facade covering up my own insecurities, covering my own fear, covering up the fact that my health was going down the drain, or my marriage was on the rocks, or whatever, right? Personal things that we don't want to talk about. So I wonder, how often do you feel that way? How often do you find yourself in a situation where you know and you feel that so much more is available to you, that you are just getting started, and yet you still have that foot on the brake? You're still holding yourself back. You're still censoring yourself. You're still discounting your expertise. You're still watering down your expertise. How often you're trying to convince yourself that yes, you might want more, but you're like, yeah, you know what? I just gotta be happy with whatever I have, because even that is a privilege, right? And you feel guilty almost for wanting more. You almost feel guilty for having desires. I was talking about it just the other day when I was sharing the story about my engagement ring and liking, um, honestly, I love the bling. I love new cars. I love a lot of things that are seeming, perceived as materialistic, and how I would censor myself and minimize myself and walk back and talk myself out of having those desires to begin with, which ultimately just cuts the flow to everything, right? Because where you're holding yourself back in one way, this is how you do everything else. So, my invitation to you today comes from this experience, because the first person that I mentioned, they ended up publishing, right? And the second person ended up moving through their one of the greatest fears, and they chose to up level and chose to say yes to the next version of themselves and the next version of their business success. So I'm wondering, how would you choose and what would you say yes to if you knew that you can create it, if you knew that it was already done, it was already available to you, it was already waiting for you? What would you choose if you weren't afraid? What would you choose if you allowed yourself and gave yourself permission to take the leap? And if you allowed yourself and gave yourself permission to follow your heart and follow your soul and follow your this innate knowing, right? When you step on a journey towards the highest expression of yourself, when you step towards the next level of purpose and you remain curious and you remain open-minded and you make the choice based on faith as opposed to fear. Very, very different things. Two very different things. And what if you gave yourself permission and allowed yourself to really create the future of your most vibrant desires and your unique design? Because you absolutely can. And especially, if you're like me or most of my clients, we're not even doing this for ourselves. Yes, we're doing it because we feel called to and we're fulfilling our mission and our calling, but we're also doing it for our families, right? And we're doing it because we want to make an impact not on our communities alone, but on the whole world. We want to uplift the humanity. So what if you gave yourself a permission to see the bigger picture and use that as a fuel to get you through those uncomfortable decisions, difficult conversations, and through the fear itself? So my invitation to you is simple today. And just be curious. What would you do differently? What different choices would you make if you gave yourself permission to inspire and actually create intentional living, your intentional business, become an intentional leader, make an intentional impact? I invite you to really ponder on that and let me know what comes up. And if you need help with any of those along the way, reach out and we can do it together. Take care.